I probably started it all.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
But
Pretty crazy.
we're gonna see.
But did it end early? Like 8:30?
Oh, people.
I tried to jump on. Jamie had a work dinner, so I wasn't able to.
It was,
Could have ended sooner.
yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't,
Yeah.
it wasn't 2 hours, I don't think.
We're not on recording, right, Rachel?
No, we're on YouTube. So,
We are on YouTube. Thank you for letting us know.
you are now.
See, there you go.
Mhm.
Did you read the mayor's statement in the past news review?
When I got today, didn't have the mayor, he had just council members.
So,
You said mayor?
yeah, I read it. I don't know if it was today or yesterday. It was the mayor and Harry.
Wasn't that last week
I don't know, but he was
or yesterday?
definitely more aggressive.
Man,
Yeah, I haven't seen the others.
no, they had, well, I thought it was today's paper, but I guess you never know with them.
Well, I only get it
No,
online.
they had the four count, they were featuring the four council
Right.
papers and the paper I got today, and I didn't even look to see what they had. How many more weeks do we have to go? 2 minutes.
3 weeks, right? Or less.
All right.
Small turnout.
Father-in-law. Entryway.
In their powwow.
Your grand entrance.
Deciding who's gonna read the letter tonight. Oh, we're recording.
I love looking at stuff we can't afford. Just like my personal life.
Is it just like a parks for me?
Yeah, I can't lie.
That's one of my trade.
I got like 3 a day.
Really?
It's always leaving them on my desk.
Okay,
Have you ever been to Innovation Hills in Rochester Hills?
Mm-mm.
Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it is.
Yeah.
Yep. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you.
I'm cold, but I'm fine.
Thanks.
It's really wet out there.
it's windy.
It's cold.
I'll have to check it out though, because every time I travel somewhere new, I go see the parks.
Yeah. Yeah, right when you walk up, it's this giant tree. It's not really a tree. It's been created to look like a tree, but it's got 5 or 6 slides coming from it with all sorts of heights. And it's just, they have like a slanted, they have an area that's like turf that they put cardboard boxes for kids to build their own like cardboard sled.
That's super
And
exciting.
it was like for all, it wasn't super steep, so it was for all ages, and there was a down part and then an up part, so. Yeah, like cardboard boxes, they're like rummaging through those scraps to try and figure out how they're
Yeah.
gonna make their box.
That's
run.
funny you said that, because I was thinking about adding that to the Kiwanis
Mhm.
thing, cardboard sledding.
I was
On the
shocked, like that was
grass,
one
or
of the
you
main
like-
attractions
I
there.
don't
No.
No,
For conditions is
Well-
fun.
we used to be a cafeteria trade.
Cafeteria trays.
Oh, yeah, we used to do college too.
Used to use snow mask, my skiing and acting, we used to hike up the mountain.
I'm gonna be careful because we're
You can
recording,
take
but
the
I might
plastic
have a
trays out of.
still in my kitchen.
One crazy thing to do.
Did you find things to do with those boys?
I was telling,
Just
bowling alley.
Oh, you've been. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allison's got, I don't know if you were here, but the things that the single sheet is double-sided, and that's an email about solid turf surfacing. from Doug.
Okay.
And it's not an exact quote, but he gives like roundabout figures based on what it is per square foot. And then the other form is our year-to-date budget.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, they had to run.
But you find out some of those over the top, Rachel.
Yeah.
It's like too colorful.
I don't know.
Whatever.
No,
Yeah,
but
we
you
can't,
think
we'll
too much
go
color.
this morning.
No,
I was like,
I agree.
perfect, see you later, you earned some energy at the beginning of the day. That worked, actually.
And then we had to go down and they did laser tag and
Yeah.
eat crappy lunch, but
Yeah.
their friends were there too.
Yeah,
so it was like,
oh, that's fun, yeah, it's a good thing to do on a.
What else were you there?
Yeah. I know my kids went to Lyle Crocodile with their aunt.
Yeah.
And my son was like, there was so-and-so was there and so-and-so, because the students had the day off on Friday, so. Yeah,
I heard the movie was good.
my kids liked it, yeah, but there's not much to.
Right.
like.
Yeah.
It's early.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh,
Oh,
was that a character?
he plays the
Oh,
crocodile.
Oh, man, see, I'm so out of the loop. I know, I told them.
You.
It's funny.
Like, presentation's pretty good.
I hope not.
Right. In the first round, Rachel.
And I was like, oh, back to reality on Monday.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, Harry's like, do I have to tomorrow? It's a short weekend.
Yeah.
It's a long weekend.
Yeah.
It's hard, isn't it?
Revise, to the cost. No stone unturned.
I just love it the day after Halloween's off too, because it's not always easy. Middle of the day off.
Yeah, it's Petoskey.
Yeah, the whole intermediate school district has that as their professional development day, like all candy.
Yeah, it's cute.
The fact that they get to sleep in, everyone's wound up.
No, when I was a kid, I went to Catholic school and we always had that Monday off because it was all saints day. I'm like, so I went to Catholic school, laid out and have it off. And I'm like, what's, I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, so it's nice being up here and having the day off and yeah. Like, okay. It just takes a while.
Oh my gosh. Well, then it's not like the younger ones too, they have the parade and all the parties, so like the day, it's a long is all. You know, it's almost like, yeah, I got to chill out between
Mhm.
school, right, actual trick or treating and
The
then
candy.
burn out.
No,
But it's fun.
Oh, yeah.
And town looks great right now. with
Yeah.
all The skeletons.
Skeletons and pumpkins and everything.
Yeah. In the past, I did would count the skeletons, because there's so many this year. It just needs to count. Yeah. But it's fun, yeah. Yes.
That's right. Send my son and his friends, he'll go ski up.
Yeah.
He'll go and take pictures and send them back to me.
Fun.
You go,
Yeah,
you know,
that's awesome.
I'm just smarter than, and like give them a map.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. The couple that did today, 6 o'clock, let's adjourn this meeting. We just got two things to talk about on the agenda tonight. One is the playground again. And thanks for you guys that were here last week and gave us comments. Those have been incorporated into the presentation, and what you'll see tonight will be what we're going to the planning commission on Thursday. And then we'll also talk about the Kiwanis sledding dates. So that's always a happy topic. Rachel, would you like to do roll call?
Doug,
Here.
get him over.
Here?
Sorry.
Here.
Alvin, here, there, here.
Great. Did we get a chance to read the minutes?
Yes.
Welcome.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay,
Second.
good. Rachel, any board communications you'd like to talk about?
No.
Okay. Good. Let's see, any comments from the public that don't have to do with our two agenda items today? We could be done by 6:30 here. Okay, let's move on to the playground then.
Okay, so I will be taking this to the planning commission meeting on Thursday night. Jeff Grimm uploaded the packet, I believe around 3:30, 4 o'clock today. So you can view the entire packet. It has emailed comments, all of that attached. So feel free to go to the website and take a look, whatever you need to take a look at. This will be my presentation. I'm just gonna go through it fairly quickly. We've seen it before for the most part. The background of the playground being removed, why it was removed. And then going in the grass area, just explaining the whole process of what got us here for the planning commission meeting. And then we're gonna go into where the other playgrounds are in the city, which we went over last week. This is the same diagram. The other parks that were discussed, and then where we would like to put it. Any questions on that portion of it? Okay. Perfect. And then we're gonna move into Zora Park playground goals for the same goals we went over last week. ADA accessibility, minimize risk for children and families, shape of the playground, make it more organic, minimize impact of views, retain green space for pickup games, frisbee, which we moved to the southeast side of the park, and try and keep as much green space as we can along the beach there, that edge. And then underground infrastructure. Master plan alignment, this is a new slide. It just discusses how it fits with the Parks and Recreation draft master plan. Provide residents and visitors with a variety of recreation opportunities. Provide conveniently located, exceptionally maintained, safe, attractive parks and facilities. And look for ways to improve accessibility in all our parks. And then it goes into the city master plan. Local recreation facilities will be conveniently located, exceptionally maintained, safe, attractive to users. Residents and visitors will enjoy a vibrant waterfront, and harbor development or redevelopment should strive to maintain open views. Site analysis, we saw this last week. Deanna did a really great job with all of her diagrams showing vehicle traffic, where the monuments are located, all the individual trees, and underground infrastructure. And then functional activity diagram, this is new. So it'll show where the car show typically would happen, and what room is left. So the car show would usually use all of Upper Zorn Park and the majority of Lower Zorn Park. They'll still have the southeast section on the art show. Last summer, they only used Upper Zorn Park. I think year to year, it kind of changes, but I don't think, from what I've heard from people, is they don't use all of Lower Zorn Park. So it shouldn't hinder that. And then the Legion will still be able to hold their memorial as usual.
Rachel, I'd like to add one thing, and we can just talk through this
Yeah.
on Thursday, is those 3 trees down by the railing, down by the boathouse there, they all have a bench in front of them. And I hadn't really thought about this before until today, but there's a lot of people that go there for lunch and eat their sandwiches on the bench or read a book on those benches. And it is kind of the quiet corner of the park, like when there's a lot of other craziness going on at the beach there. So I don't know if that, we could have, I guess, all sorts of functional uses going on here besides just the events. So this is really just an event map, I guess. But
Yeah, well, it says on the top, it would leave the active amenities to the southwest, southeast side would remain passive green space for pickup ball, picnics, reading.
Okay,
So,
didn't see that.
no worries, like I said, that's why. And then it goes over the proposed location, which we went over last week. And then advantages and disadvantages, it gives the 3D model.
Rachel, if you could roll back just for a minute. I just wanted to explain, we did move it over to the west a bit. So it's out of that big grassy area a little bit more. We still have that 40-foot where the big tree is, 40-foot from the edge of the sidewalk to the playground. So that seems like it should be plenty of space for picnic tables and people to set up chairs. And then we left a 40-foot buffer up along Bay Street, which to me seems like, a good amount of space, to be able to catch a kid if they start running that way, right? And then just a couple adjustments on the sidewalks to move in the last one we saw, the sidewalk, was more over towards the big tree. So this moves it out of that area. So that's now uninterrupted grass space.
And that's not the sidewalk plan. We would
no,
bring
this
that
is
as an
just an
agenda
example.
item.
This is kind of the
Yeah.
next iteration for us to look at.
Yeah.
And then we also discussed, do we flip flop the slide and the swings, being as the swings are a little bit more transparent for views through. Welcome, folks.
This will be a 3D visual. That for comparison is just under 2,500 square foot. And then it goes over the southeast corner, advantages, disadvantages, are the same as last week. We didn't make any changes. Double check that. Nope. Then it goes over Upper Zorn, advantages, disadvantages. With traffic, not being able to the restroom facility. Things of that nature.
Rachel, did you want to fill them in and what Jim Raymer found out about the
Oh,
deed?
Upper Zorn is deeded that we could build on it. There's no restrictions on building. I think someone brought that up at the last Parks Board and I did check with them, so.
With the church?
Yeah. And then some public input. I just added these for the planning commission meeting. It gives some insight into engineer wood fiber wood chips. I think there's some confusion. They are real wood. They're from the inside of the tree. It reduces risk of splinters. It's non-toxic, doesn't contain paint, chemicals, or additives, minimal bark, no debris or other organic material. It makes it more attractive, a natural look. It does need to be added every few years, for the safe fall surface. But you're not replacing all the mulch. You're not taking the old mulch out and putting all new mulch in. You're just adding mulch to it.
And Rachel, is it safe to say that that's not for certification yet, right? That we also are looking into board in place.
Yeah, we got, some quotes, well, not exact quotes, but figures, which I handed out to the board. ADA accessibility, it goes over what we spoke about before, which we've been explaining. The playground will be ADA accessible. The pieces will not necessarily be ADA compliant. It goes over the playground equipment being old and outdated. It's difficult to predict the conditions that would make you feel necessary to replace playground equipment. It's quality of the structure, the use, the climate, damage from severe weather, but playground equipment can last for decades, depending on how well it is taken care of. So it just, there are variables that you need to consider. Like it depends on how many complaints you get, things are breaking all the time, things like that. And then
These are all pieces too that are still sold. So these are not like outdated pieces.
Only a small percent of children within the city limits, although true, we have multiple townships within our school district and visitors to account for. Every event we have held, Fall Fest, Easter egg hunt, Kiwanis sledding, he's had over 100 children in attendance. The playground gives families something to do downtown once the water is too cold for swimming. And then I went on Google Earth, and these are rough figures. This is the green space of Zorn Park where the playground would go. And this is Upper Zorn Park, so you can see the square footage, a rough estimate. And then I went down to Marina Park and got a rough square footage, just over 32,000. Child's Park, I didn't even do all the grass space. I just did this large portion. It's almost 16,000 square foot. So that would put the playground is 2% of our waterfront grass area, and that's not including Ford Park or Main Street. It'd be 12% of this, approximately. And then I have a letter from the foundation. I'll have a letter from the Legion as well on Thursday.
And what does the letter say? Is it in support or?
It is.
Okay.
Well, it's basically saying that they don't have an opinion on what the city chooses to place in public spaces, and they will work around the playground for their events.
Okay.
And the Legion just had their meeting on Thursday, so they have not finished their minutes yet, but I spoke to them today, and they'll have them done by Thursday. So,
Okay.
does anyone have any comments? the board for the presentation.
It's pretty thorough.
There's things I can say, but I can't add to it. It's already out in the packet, so it is what it is at this point for that.
We'll put together.
Is there any questions on the process of the planning commission or about the meeting in general?
So they'll go over it and their decision will be based on, does it fit the city code and does it fit the city master plan? Is that correct?
Correct.
Is there a way that it would come back to us again by any chance, or is it yes, no? and
It'd be
then-
yes or no.
Okay.
It should end at the planning commission on Thursday.
Any other thoughts? Should we open it up for public comment at this point? And usual rule is 3 minutes. One time.
My name is Patrick Kenny, 134 Bay Street. You can say a lot of negative things about me, but one thing I don't think you can say is that I'm not persistent and I don't have passion for what I believe in, and I keep coming back to you. This is the wrong decision. It's not the right location. There is no one who is against playgrounds. There is no one who is against having a playground down in downtown. We support it. In fact, I have made a proposal that I believe you probably already have, in which we will come with the financing to fund a new playground in Lower Zorn Park, which will be all brand new equipment, brand new surfacing. It will last longer. It will have more shelf life. It will be less maintenance. It will cost the city absolutely nothing to put in. We are going to put it in for you. Now, let's get to the facts. That I have a proposal for $95,000. And that's done. Lower Zorn Park. Let's get to the facts. You can go back up to the beginning. Rachel, I've come to you and I've tried to work with you. Dana, I have tried to work with you. I have gotten rebuked at every turn I've made. The materials that we presented could you please go to the next slide? And to the next, and to the next. Keep going to the pictures and go to the one where they keep going. I will comment on, keep going, please. One more. Nope, keep going. I guess go to mine, if you will, if you'll do that. Yeah, I know, you didn't include mine. That's my point. What I'm trying to say is that we had suggested the option of having the playground in the upper southeast corner of the park. You told me that was not a good idea. It was going to conflict with the memorial. It wasn't right for the flag. A number of things, fine. It was too close to the street. You told us to move it down to the southeast corner. We did that. Then when we came with that presentation, it was over the manhole. In fact, it was over a sewer line. A sewer line. We all know that it wasn't a sewer line. It was a water retention line that goes right out of the bay. No issue whatsoever. In fact, that final proposal that we made doesn't even take into consideration any infrastructure. And when we talk about the view, the fact of the matter is that along that along the side on the east side, what you're not recognizing is the fact that the Wallstrom's boathouse and the dockage all come out on an angle. So if the playground was set on that southeast side or somewhere on the east side, you would not obstruct any view to the water. Because the boathouse and the boats and the docks take up the view of the water. Where you're presenting to put it is right in the heart of where the view is at. Dana, you talk about clutter. You're putting it right into the clutter of those trees. You're putting it closer to the flag than what my position would be.
Patrick, can you wrap it up, please?
Well, okay, I will wrap it up. Let me just suggest again that what we are proposing is brand new equipment, ADA accessible and compliant. No cost to the city, safer, cleaner surface with longer lasting. Those wood chips you're going to need to replace every 3 to 4 years. The playground equipment needs to be replaced at least every 12 years. We're already at over 10. Would not require any new sidewalks. My location, your location, you talk about 12%.
Please wrap it up.
Okay, I am wrapping it up, but listen, guys, this is a falsity. Why you are not presenting our revised picture with the revised advantages. Rachel, I hold you on that. And Dana, I hold you on that. That's misleading, it's misrepresentative, and it's not transparent.
Right. Who's next?
Hi, Marita Miller, 651 Second Street. I have to concur with Mr. Kenny also. Here's a picture that I have, and you've said before that the other proposal, what Mr. Kenny is talking about, will obstruct the flagpole. It's too close to the flagpole. John Leo says that's where I stand, that's where fathers stand. Neither John Leo or father are nailed to the ground, they can move. And it doesn't. This is your proposed plan, how close you are to the flagpole. You're coming right on top of it, so that kind of negates.
That's not true. Can you go to our?
Well, that's your
plan?
line.
I don't want to interrupt you. We'll go
Well,
over
then
this
stop the
after
clock.
you're done.
Stop the
Yes,
clock.
we're
Okay.
stopping the clock. Do you
So,
want to?
Never mind, let him finish.
Also, the point, with this also is that, I was on the Mary Free Bed Board Hospital downstate, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, which is the largest rehab hospital in the nation, if not the world. And I called and talked to some people on this. They said nobody in their right mind puts non-compliant ADA equipment in an ADA compliant ground. What is the point? So they can run their wheelchair up to it and then look at it. This is supposed to be for all kids who can play and kids who can't. You have an offer to put in ADA compliant, everything there for $95 more. He's giving you the quote, done all your work. What is the problem? You're still getting it in your park. You're still taking park space. I don't care if it's 2% or 20%. That thing is 3,000 square feet, and where it is located, it is destroying Zorn Park. The most people find sacred ground. And then you're putting in more cement, another sidewalk, more bushes, benches. So it's expanding the size. It has to do, that picture does not do justice when you walk up on it in person. It's massive, and it's the majority of the green space. This makes, I don't understand. Victor wanted to say last night, we listened to the people, Where is Mr. Kenny's plan? Why hasn't that been put in all the packets around that the people are seeing here?
It's still not in the packet.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Everybody out there does not know there's another option. This is not transparency, and the people are not being listened to. I don't understand it. This is a win-win situation. You can sit there and roll your eyes. You guys are so, you don't care because you're just gonna do it anyway. There is no point in this. It makes, you can use the money for something else somewhere down the road. Somebody's offering to pay for it, but you still want to destroy a park that everybody would like to keep. We have all this here. Why can't we put it there? Everybody seems to bristle when we say that. Why? Is that to save space for the substation maybe? There is no reason it can't go there. And I'm sorry, I'm gonna agree, the traffic, we heard about, cross their legs and that and whatever in Sandy Baker. You're putting a playground right next to the street where the kids, and it's nobody's responsibility to watch your kids except yourself. And those kids can run right from that playground in the street.
Thank you. Rachel, how do you want to handle this? Do you want? Pardon? Okay, do you want to respond to anything? Okay.
But why isn't this plan showing?
So I have to take what we originally took to the planning commission. That is the application pending.
So you didn't take any other plans except just this one?
Correct.
Even though it's a better plan? I mean, even
Then
though you're
delay
getting
it.
more money? $99,000 versus $7,000.
Rachel, you asked me to do, I did everything you asked me to do.
I answered the question.
Well, you know what?
Let's move on to public comment. The question was answered.
Yeah, but why, you haven't answered the question as to why you didn't bring forth a plan that was brought to you by the public. That was
Patrick,
that was revised per your request on multiple times to accommodate multiple
Patrick,
issues.
thank you.
You
I'm
used the
sorry.
fact that you,
Patrick, other people.
Patrick, enough,
and you didn't,
hey,
and it's on you.
enough,
John, lower your voice.
no,
Yes.
enough, quit badgering them.
You know, cops, you're so rude.
You know what, why don't we, why all along are you telling us to be transparent and then you won't let us speak?
There's a process, you gotta go through the process, not that yours won't be listened to, but right now, you gotta go through the process of the planning commission. So get through the planning commission, and then something might happen, I can't speak for everybody.
The section that had public information, letters that were sent to you.
They were sent to me and I sent them, they're all on the website in Jeff Grimm's packet for the planning
But
commission.
they're not on this presentation. One
No,
of them
they'll go,
is-
they'll all go to the planning.
Okay,
commission.
but your presentation does not have, especially Ashley O'Reilly's, saying, and I want you to show the visual picture of the equipment of what is being seen at Zorn Park. Show that to everybody. I want to
The
have,
3D.
I want the 3D showing the
Okay.
equipment. Yep.
So-
So again, looking at the master plan and what we're trying to do is to decrease the obstruction to the lake. And I'm looking at that and I see total obstruction. And I know that Ashley O'Reilly sent in a letter that talks about, and same thing over here, there's other options of other parks that make a big difference. But I'm just giving in general the same consistency that we are not giving the public's input on what you are putting forward for the planning commission to see all options. And that is our concern, okay? I believe there are a lot of resources that are available to the city to really look at this differently for the better good of the overall community. And if you guys put this out to the school, no one's here from the school. They didn't come to the city meeting, they didn't come to this meeting, okay? This tells you exactly what their interest is on this. And so the interest is for the people that are here to prevent destroying the most prime park in Harbor Springs. So I have my 3 minutes.
Yes, you do. I'm
Okay.
not gonna
And
interrupt.
so my point is that all the information is not being presented and looking at the better outcome and overall, okay? You have someone that's giving you $7,000 and you are putting a square peg in a round hole trying to make this work. And there's all kinds of options. And you even use my words out of place. I said the wood chips would get into the water and it would get into the boathouse. No matter where you put the park, that same thing is going to happen, but you are using his plan to discredit what I said or discredit what he said. And so I want to make that clear. Do not use my words, because no matter where you put this between the goose shit that's going to be taking place, okay, because that's where the water is, you wouldn't have that problem in a park right here, but you're going to have it in that Zorn Park. There are major problems by putting your plan together versus listening to what the public has to say. And you are not listening to the people. And
Are
don't
you done?
comment because I
Are you
have my
done?
3 minutes.
Okay. Go
And
ahead.
so I believe that before that meeting happens with planning, you need to redo that presentation, make sure that Patrick's presentation is in there, understanding what you guys or what the city, us people would be receiving a ADA compliant equipment, ADA compliant accessibility to the equipment in a better location, maybe, but let that option be heard and let the people hear about it. You guys are trying to make this happen in a short amount of time. I don't understand why you're doing that. For $7,000 versus $95,000, it does not make sense. And I will make sure this is played everywhere based on those facts, that you are making this decision and not letting the people understand this. It doesn't make
Do we
sense.
want to respond, Nancy?
And I just want to make Nancy Rondell, 181 Zoll. I think, and I've been in all the meetings, so I've heard all, sorry, I'm sorry, I'm talking with my turn, sorry. There's a process that has to be followed. Okay, now, there is. Mr. Kinney can go to the planning commission and he can speak at the planning commission. That's fine. But the process is, this plan was taken to the planning commission because council said this isn't a council issue, it's not a policy issue. It needs to go, Maggie, just cool it for a second, please, okay? The process is that basically the same plan with what the planning commission asked for has to go back to the planning commission from the Parks Board.
They asked for a
Mr.
revision.
Kinney can go back and do his plan at the planning commission. He can do this. These guys are an advisory council. They don't get to make any decisions.
But why was his plan put in?
They don't get to make any decisions. This committee is an advisory committee. They do not get to vote. They do not get to make decisions.
The one decided.
The planning commission are the ones that will decide on it.
So, but why isn't his plan in this packet?
It
Because
wasn't in the
the
original.
original plan that went to the
Permit.
planning commission is this. No,
Why not?
because that isn't what the planning commission.
Nancy, I would, Nancy, that's not, Nancy, it's not true.
You need to.
Let me
I'm not-
explain to you.
Mr. Kinney,
This
Let me-
isn't, guys,
my 3 minutes. I listened to you for many 3 minutes,
And I
So
listened to you.
and I would expect you to respect me.
I
Okay.
do respect you. I do respect
You know
you,
what?
but it's not the same plan.
That's
I
my
can tell you why.
Guys,
no,
guys,
It's option number one.
Patrick,
Where you get
Patrick.
we're not gonna have an argument here. This is so disruptive.
I know, but why don't we get the truth on the
she's
table?
trying to explain the process.
She's trying to get the truth on the table about planning commission. When you go with a plan, you can't come back with a different plan the next time you go. You have to come back, what that table.
Did you present
is
option
option
1 and
one.
2? Did you present option 1 and 3 to the planning commission? Yes or no?
No,
No, that's my point.
so you can't add option 3. You have to go back with another request, another
They're
site plan.
They're taking new requests
Just
back.
because the planning commission says yes on Thursday, if they do, which they could say no, they could table it, there are 3 options. Just because they say yes, does not mean the playground goes in. The planning commission can say yes to someone building a garage. That doesn't mean that person builds that garage,
It comes down to you and Victor, right, that make the decision?
ultimately.
Yes.
But it
Victor
doesn't
and
mean the next day, we're gonna go put the playground in.
Told me that's my.
Well, Victor's gonna.
Well, staff decision, staff.
It's Victor. They left it up to staff and professional, which is Rachel and Victor.
Guys,
Other comments?
hey, guys, we can't have minutes. Guys, I'm gonna have to start asking people to leave. This is just so disruptive.
I have it's a civil question, it's a civil question, very, because I am curious. That I remember talking with you, Dana, when we were doing this, and you said, I don't want it there, I want it back, like where Patrick's plan is. What happened? Why are you
Well,
back that this is suddenly
This was
such a
2
great
meetings
thing?
ago. I think I told everybody that I've changed my mind on this so many times, back and forth. It's not an easy decision. I think, well, if you want, do you want to know what it came down to for me? Is the parents, the kids, the families. We have,
Exactly.
Patrick, will you please be quiet? This is just getting ridiculous. And that's what it's come down to, and that's option 1. That's why it was originally chosen, and we were down there when you came and screamed at me down there. Him and I were trying to talk about where else it could go, and we did talk about other locations, and I feel like we've done a pretty good job.
You told me you were breaking ground back. You didn't say you were looking at other locations. I said, when is it gonna be
No, you
broken?
didn't
And you
bother
said
to ask,
now.
you did not bother to ask me what I was doing there.
I asked you
Let's just
3
stop,
times, Dana.
okay.
All right, I've heard enough.
I've got screenshots of asking you the night
We
before.
have
you
one
were there.
person that would still like to
I'm
speak.
getting hung, and I'm somewhere.
I would like to speak, please. I don't have the raise hand feature. This is.
You know
Maureen
what?
Kenny.
I'm sorry.
We'll go to Zoom next
Okay,
for Zoom comments. I'm sorry.
I am not good with words and speaking in public anymore, do I want to? But I have written an email up here that I'd like to give to everybody. I don't want to really read it, but I am concerned about the safety issues and the traffic. I think you talked about wanting people to walk down to town. That's why you want it there so people can walk there, but me as a mom, I can't walk there with pails and beach bags and all that and hang on to kids and go through town. People are gonna be driving there, they're gonna be parking there. And that's what this little letter is about. I think kids will run into the street. I think, one parent can't watch one kid going this way, one kid going this way, and nobody's brought up, I don't think, that safety issue, but I wrote out what I feel in this safety issue, and I think it's something to be considered, because somebody's gonna get hurt, a child's gonna get hurt eventually. So,
Thank you.
I will.
Yeah, you can pass it on. Anybody else in the audience? Yeah. Okay, Maureen, you're up. Maureen, can you hear us?
Yep, I can. Thank you. So I get so confused at these meetings. So you have indicated, Rachel, and the council, that what you submitted to the planning committee last time, which was only option 1, they tabled it for more information, but now you were able to submit option 1, 2, and 3 to them. So you have changed. I don't need any comment on that, but that is just a personal comment that makes no sense, that nothing can be added, but you added option 2 and option 3. So I'm just going to go on, and I don't need any information from you, but you guys have misrepresented the location and citizen support for the past 6 weeks. This has been eye-opening to me. You're not following your own master plan. You're not following your own survey results. You have repeatedly told us everyone is for this location. However, the letters that were attached for the meeting next week, or for the planning commission, you have 2 letters for and 4 against. Now, this doesn't even include the letters that I was personally CC'd on that were sent to Victor. We can see that, and he failed to include those letters. Harbor Light, you seem to use that as your communication tool. I think we had 6 or 7 letters against and 2 for. You are not listening to your citizens. And I have a few things. The October 11th special meeting was called, and interestingly, the Fall Festival got called, took 10 minutes of the meeting because it was a special meeting about Zorn Park, but we had to talk about the Fall Festival, which sounds successful, thanks to all of you. So all along, we have been asking about this cash-strapped city and we don't have any money. How can we pay for this reinstallation? Well, you received the $6,000 from Kathy Lenko and the Mary Claire Reynolds Joyce Fund, and that will cover the first $6,000. Dana, at the special meeting, you indicated that now there is additional costs and the same fund is going to cover those additional costs. How much additional costs do we need? How much are they donating from this fund? And when do you receive that money? That's question 1, but I only have 3 minutes. So my next thing is, I would invite everybody at the October 11th meeting to go back to the YouTube October 11th, the special meeting, at the 1 hour and 18-minute mark, and listen to Rachel, our Parks and Rec director, say that she admits that this equipment will ruin the view. Listen, it's documented. It's on recording. So I invite everybody to do that before Thursday's meeting, so we know where we stand on this as a community. But if somebody, probably Dana, if you can answer the question about the foundation and the additional money that's coming in, I'd appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Rachel has spoken to the foundation, so I might let her answer actually. We do have between now and when it will be able to be installed, what, in May, probably, Jen, right? That's a lot of time to figure all that out. But Rachel, go ahead. They indicated that they
The
would.
foundation indicated that they were willing to fund any landscaping needs. You may need additional landscaping needs. If you needed to add a sidewalk, flower beds, anything of that nature, or anything that came up with reinstalling the equipment. It's like a piece we missed. I don't believe we did. Doug ordered
So
everything.
did I hear you say rocks and bushes?
No, just flower, but if you put flower beds in or any landscaping we were to do, which we don't have a plan,
Which stays more green space.
any additional cost, basically.
So everybody shoved off into the
She did not,
sunlight.
but I never said an exact amount, because I knew we weren't putting it until spring, so at this point.
So on a hot day, nobody has any shade at the beach either. Remember that. A mom with a baby, where I used to go and sit in the shade. You can't bring your
Miranda,
dog.
I'm sorry. Do you remember me saying 40 feet from the beach? That is the shade. 20 feet to the tree and another 20 feet beyond that.
And then everybody can huddle
I
in
think-
it on a hot
I
90
think
degree
it's
day when that
okay
park
for
is
kids
packed.
to be shaded on a playground.
Are there any other
Guys,
public
I think we're not really doing anything productive here.
Well,
We have to go to Zoom now. Because there are.
Okay, let's finish soon.
I
Okay,
do just have one additional question then. So Rachel, they have given you carte blanche.
Say that again, Maureen, I'm sorry.
They have given you carte blanche, unlimited funds to do whatever you would like to do.
No,
The installation.
No, not necessarily. We just never spoke about figures. It was a very brief conversation.
Right, which has been an ongoing problem with this whole thing. There's no figures associated with any costs with this whole reinstallation.
okay, who's next?
Patricia Lang, you have your hand raised. Did you want to speak? Patricia?
We can't hear you.
I'm gonna ask her to unmute. She may not.
Unmute her.
Here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to say that I own the house at 121 West Main, and you have a really lovely park, and I am totally against anything that will obstruct the view. It's unconscionable that you would consider obstructing the view. It's beyond outrageous. And I totally agree with Patrick and Maggie Lacy and their point of view on this whole thing. I believe in transparency, and I believe in protecting the view. And that's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else on Zoom?
This is Tim Patton, 251 East Bay. Thank you for allowing me to spend a minute with you, but it just befuddles me that when I listen to each of these meetings, whether it's zoning, whether it's city planning, whether it's parks and recreation, the negative input seems to be 80% to 20% in favor, yet it just seems to keep moving forward as if no one's listening. And then I said at a prior meeting, and I emphasize again, there are those of us privately that would love to see this as an opportunity to not just relocate some existing equipment to another space, whether the space is something that we should approve of or not, but it's an opportunity for enhancing the park and make it something we're very proud of. And I talked to Rachel a week or so ago. She called me. Why not take the opportunity not just to pick up a bunch of steel equipment and move it to the center of a park and obstruct some views of passerbys and homeowners? But let's think about this in a bigger picture and think about this in a way to enhance it and make it another wonderful feature of this beautiful city that we love. So, the old Simon and Garfunkel, slow down, you move too fast, let the moment last. Let's why are we cramming this through in spite of public opposition that's probably 8-1 or 8-2?
Thank you. Do you have anything else?
I mean, I don't want to be the one to raise it, but you know where this is going to go. If you jam this through, you know where it's going to go, and it's going to be in the lawyer's hands, and it doesn't need to be that way.
Thank you, Tim.
I'm just doing a little rough math here. 1, 2, 3, 4, probably 5, 6, 7, 8 people out of 1,200 people are against it. And that's where.
You might, are you going to say that?
Oh my God.
Only 45 people that applied.
Seriously.
I mean, that is like so
Look at your own
out there.
survey.
Oh my
You don't want to
God.
listen to the people.
Because they didn't show up, they're not
Oh
for
my
it.
God.
Dana, I tried to talk to you on
can't
several
believe this.
occasions, one-on-one, and you completely shut me out.
That is unbelievable that you just said that.
Who's threatening a lawsuit? Who's threatening a lawsuit, Dana?
Somebody just did. All right, we're done with the park. Moving on.
So it's the assumption if you don't show up in person, it means that you're not, or
Unbelievable.
that you're not represented.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
That you
Unbelievable. So you don't
Be
appreciate
quiet,
the
please,
amount of
please.
time. that we
Okay,
are.
right now, out of here.
Oh.
Are there any other public comments?
Yes, I'd like to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just curious. So again, I'd like to reiterate that how unfortunate of a process this has become. I've said at every single meeting, we want to work with you. Rachel, what have you done to incorporate any of the feedback that has been given to you?
About the playground,
Yeah,
the location, or the design?
all of it. I mean, the square footage is the same. The location is the same. Nothing has changed. Am I right?
You're not right, but I don't have to answer, so.
Okay, so then I'll continue on.
Everybody just needs to stop or we'll just call the meeting right now. This is
Okay, I still have 3 minutes. I
turning
believe.
into a riot here.
Okay, so
I
I'd like
think
to,
we're good.
no, I'd like to continue. I have 3 minutes to speak.
Continue. Go ahead, Doug.
Okay, so again, this has been a very misleading process. It starts with this won't obstruct the view. Rachel, you said the last meeting, it will restrict view. This is visual clutter. You said that yourself, Dana. Then we go on, oh, it won't affect any of the events, but then the last meeting, oh, it will affect any of the events. You've claimed that the equipment itself is ADA compliant. We know that it's not, and that there's no intention to make it ADA compliant, which is wrong. You said the equipment is safe. You've had to replace it already. Why are we putting in old, outdated equipment? And then lastly, the process now with the planning commission, you're saying that you can't change the plan? I mean, that's the whole point of what the planning commission asked you to do, was to come back with an improved plan. And you're, again, submitting the same plan. This makes no sense. And again, you haven't incorporated any feedback. It's really a shame.
When we had, I'm gonna answer, but I'm not looking for a response. Do you understand? So when we first met and we had a meeting, the issue was the main green space. So we rotated it further south, closer to the water, to open up that green space. Nobody liked that. Okay, we fixed the shape, made it a little more organic, tried to move some pieces around, removed some pieces, had multiple meetings. It's not outdated equipment. I went over that in the presentation. I never said the components were ADA compliant. It's ADA accessible. And just because it goes to the planning commission meeting, if we get a yes, a no, a table, does not mean it's going to be rushed and put in the next day. It's just simply them approving that location if we decide to put it there. That's as simple as it is.
Okay, again, even those statements are misleading. You said that Victor has said on several occasions, it's in the Parks and Recreation plan itself that you all approved at the last meeting that the equipment is ADA compliant. You can go look. I looked at it today. So again, it is just a continuous, you've been set on this location this whole entire time, and you have not seriously considered any of the other locations despite of what's shown. So again, overall disappointing.
Or any other public comments? On Zoom or here?
All right, let's move on to,
Can I ask one thing?
Yeah.
Could we see the plan that Mr. Kenny has proposed to have donated? I mean, not right now, but
Yeah,
can you
so-
send it so we can all look at it?
I have the plan that he sent that I showed at the last meeting with the same equipment up. I have not personally seen a plan for new equipment. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist. So I will ask him,
Okay.
but I haven't personally seen one.
And I'm just curious, is that equipment the same amount of pieces? Is it?
I don't know.
Okay, just
ADA
questions
compliant
that you have.
equipment can be larger, not all the time. So I don't know what he's worked with Doug, but if he does have plans, I'd definitely be willing to see them or the pour in place. Like I said, taking it to the planning commission and getting a yes, no table, whatever they decide, does not mean we put the playground equipment in the next day. The process is not over with that planning commission meeting. So I just want that to be clear.
Okay.
So if we get approval at the planning commission, is the finalization that the equipment is going in where the proposal is, or is it that we'll still look at Mr. Kenny's option?
I don't want to say we'll keep looking at Mr. Kenny's option, but I wouldn't be opposed if someone came to me and said, we're gonna donate. I can't give an amount. Well, playground equipment is very.
We're not saying
expensive.
yes, not saying no.
The pour in
It's
place,
just, you have to
the
get
pour
through
in
the
place
process.
alone
with
is
the
like
planning.
$70,000. That's why I hesitate.
Sure. I'm sorry, how
And
much? I didn't hear you.
$70,000 approximately. And we're not opening back up to public discussion. This is what I'm saying. Pour in place is approximately $70,000 for that footprint. ADA compliant equipment could make that footprint larger. It may not. I don't know because I have not seen
Not the
the plans.
details, yeah, I understand.
So if he works with Doug and comes up with this plan and he says, I have the donors, I'm ready, that will be a new discussion. And that's why I
Would that have to go to
said,
the Planning commission again then?
yes, I mean, what,
So it
and
would
that's
have
why
to
I'm
be
saying that
another
the planning commission
proposal.
meeting is not an end all for everything. Am I saying we're not gonna put it in this location? Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying either. But
Just opens the
there,
green
yeah,
light to
there
yes,
are
if
answered
that's decision
questions.
To make, then it can go
Does
that
that
way.
answer your question, Al?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, it'd be nice. You haven't looked at the
We're
information.
not taking any more public comment, Maggie. Thank you.
You're wasting, your guys are so inefficient. It would be nice if we could see his presentation, and then also, if he has $95,000 donations, plus the donations from the Mary Claire Reynolds Joyce Foundation.
Yeah.
What could be done with all of that money, plus the additional money they've verbally agreed without the dollar amount yet, so
Right.
it
I
could
would-
end up being like a really, really cool park.
It could be. My only concern is, are we taking money to move it to a location that's not as opportune for kids and
I
families?
think that's a conversation for after we go to the planning commission, see what they say. At least then we have this approved. And then we can still, yeah.
Okay, let's move on to Kiwanis.
So we need to pick our quantity. So I can put them out.
Are we talking twice a month?
I was thinking twice a month and then doing one daytime and one evening. Because we have those lights working. And we only did one evening last year, I believe, and that went really well. I just wanted input, to see if anyone agreed if 2 is enough.
I think 2 is good.
Yeah, I think that's what Allison said last time.
Would that be
Are we
one
thinking
during the
2
day?
in January, 2 in February?
Yeah. And then we can reevaluate for March. I think we did do one in March last year. Why do I believe
Like in
that?
the very beginning.
Mhm, like that
Do
first
we
week.
have the school calendar here?
I can look at it tomorrow and then email
We're,
the dates and see.
I believe the 17th of February. I think that's about it. So the 20th is, that week is President's Day, President's Week
February.
in February. So I know that whole week is a busy week.
Yeah.
So that Saturday prior or the Saturday after, a lot of schools downstate and out of town don't have school that week. So there's a lot of families up.
Okay, I remember you mentioning that
Yeah,
last
so
year.
that would be a good time. Probably the Saturday or the Saturday before or Saturday after, either
Is it
or. to-
15th then, do you think? If
The-
MLK is-
February time. right?
The, it
Oh,
would
wait, sorry,
be Saturday
14th,
the
14th?
18th
18.
or Saturday the 25th,
Of January?
February.
Yeah, I think.
So what if we did the 4th and the 18th
For
of
February?
February?
That's good.
Monday out too. Well.
Harbor
maybe I
Springs
think
doesn't,
it's-
Harbor Springs is next Friday.
And then what about
And then
January?
in January, MLK weekend, that would be the Saturday, the 14th, Friday, the 13th. And the same thing, we don't have it off up here, but other places do, so that's another busy weekend up here.
Okay.
And we could do, a nighttime one or a daytime, either or.
So are we saying it's good to do it on a busy weekend or there's enough going on already?
No, I think it's good because then the people who don't
Visitors.
ski,
I
with
agree.
littler
Okay.
kids or whatever,
Also-
or if you do it like a later, the day after they're
Yeah.
done skiing, they can go sled and have hot cocoa.
I agree.
When is the Ice Fest? It's another time that lots of families come.
I think we had it on the same weekend as Ice Fest and I
We
don't think it
did.
really hurt anything.
So I
So
think it's good.
It was an
We have a lot more
afternoon one
families
then.
here.
are we saying then January 14th and 28th or the 7th and the 21st? What do
Well,
we think?
14th and 28th gives us 2 weeks in a row, so I don't know if that's good
Well,
or
no, because
bad.
it'd be the 21st. So the 14th and the 28th, that would give a buffer, or the 7th and the 21st. Which one did you say?
The 14th,
Yeah, so we'll do,
because the 7th, they are just going back to school that week.
oh, we'd have 2 weeks in a row, the 20th going in the
Yeah,
4th,
that's
but
fine.
I think that would be okay. I don't think that's gonna make.
Okay,
So for January 14th, 28th,
Yep.
and then
4th and 18th for February.
And then will you write these down for the fire department? So they're.
Send them to me.
Okay. And then, do we mind which ones are each of the first days or can I, okay, I'll just look at the dates and make that call. And then, last year we did, so you're on board, we did, hot dogs for most of them, and that worked out fairly well. We just used a Foreman grill and did it that way, or, the last event, we did pizzas, which worked out really well. Which was a nighttime one, which worked out really well. Only the pizza, someone has to go pick them up, and then they get kind of cold if people aren't going through them. But I think in general, that was pretty popular. And then we had local families for generous, donations. They donated, it was like
And you know
$100
what?
an event.
If we're gonna get the pizzas, we could ask BC if they could put them in those, you know, the
Yeah.
things that they used to deliver it in, if we
Yeah.
could get a couple of those, just.
I think we did, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
I
Yeah,
was there.
yeah, I think you were gone
So
for
they
that
still
one.
got going.
One.
But maybe we do them like in 2 installments.
So I didn't know if we wanted to stick with, I just need to know because when we do the hot dogs, I need to put in a temporary food license. If we do the pizzas, I don't. So I just need to know if we're thinking,
I think do the both, do a
Okay.
couple hot dogs, couple.
Okay, so
maybe
just
every
kinda
other
break 'em
week,
up.
one
We
week
do
pizza,
hot
one
dogs
week
during
hot
the
dog,
day and
and
pizza at night or something.
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And then, I personally think they went really well. Like, I don't foresee adding anything to them. It's kind of like Fall Fest, like.
No,
just
just the
keep it-
first one, we had the craft tables, and I
Yeah.
think we don't need
Yeah, I
that.
agree. People just wanted to warm up. And that's
Yeah.
the thing.
Less
don't-
is more.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know, is there music, like, is there a stereo
use
system?
a
or
stereo.
anything? Okay,
Bluetooth.
okay. I just wasn't, I couldn't remember from when I was there.
Yeah.
Be
It was
great.
on. Perfect.
Yeah, and then we did the fire pits, we did s'mores, and then we just did like the hot cocoa bar. So
And
I think we just
got
got
8 sleds donated, so we had some extras if somebody came without one.
Yeah, and then we had 8
Yeah,
sleds, the
so-
game box will be up there.
Mhm.
And then the painted tables will be up there for checkers, chess, all that. So I will get those dates out and then I'll email which ones are days and nights, and then we'll set up like a volunteer sheet and all that. So, yeah, they're pretty fun and they're short, I think we did like a couple hours, so.
My only thought is, I don't know if anybody else experienced this, but when we were at the bottom of the hill and they were coming up in the sleds, which I think that was more fun for them than actually going down the sled.
Yeah.
But just making sure that the lines of the sleds, I know there were a couple times where the lines were dangling like
Yeah.
over the edge. So maybe if you do have volunteers, having a volunteer at the bottom, helping kids get into the sled,
Yeah, that's a good idea.
so there's not as much chaos. I mean, it's chaos. It's fun. though.
Fun chaos.
Yeah, it was great last year.
Perfect. Any other comments on the Kiwanis or?
I just kind of had a thought, the day of the Ice Fest, if it was at the same, I don't know, maybe this is what people, whatever people think. I probably as a family would choose one or the other, like I wouldn't go to the Ice Fest and then go directly to sledding. But if it was Ice Fest and then the evening was sledding, that would give a little.
That's a
bit of
really good
break in
point.
between, unless you're hoping to attract people that come to the Ice Fest and then come up afterwards, but it also depends on how
Sounds
cold
like
it
a long
is.
day for little
It was
kids.
for little kids, but then, I don't know how many.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of families that had mentioned to me they were going downtown for lunch, so they were gonna do Ice Fest and then grab lunch after our event. But that's a good point to end the day with sledding, so.
Do we have a lot banners for sledding events
We,
or at the top?
I think we did, we do, yeah. Yeah, I might have to edit it a little bit, just like with
Right,
patches,
right,
those are
the dates.
fairly easy.
Then we can talk about promotions, how to get it into the school
Yeah.
newspaper. and-
Allison was really great about getting it in the school newspaper. Could you possibly give me a contact for the Petoskey School?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I know they have the winter park, this would give an added event for them. And we use the chamber. What else did we do? We have flyers, I believe.
Flyers.
Yeah, and we'll have all the
Directions.
dates on there so
Yeah.
families can plan. So I think last year we kind of, because it was our first year, we didn't give like a lot of notice, but I think having the dates out
Yeah.
well ahead of time.
Last year, we just added dates as we went along.
Right,
which we saw it was
so-
successful.
So this will
But now
be
we have
helpful.
pictures.
Right. All right, anything
Okay.
else on Kiwanis? That should be fairly easy, like Fall Fest, pretty simple now that we've done it. Director,
Managers report.
yep, so director report, so the Parks and Recreation Plan, the 30-day review is completed. The public hearing notice will be in next week's Harbor Light paper, and the public hearing will be held at the city council meeting, it's at noon, November 7th. That's posted everywhere, and it'll be posted in the paper, but just make sure when you're telling people, if people ask, it's at noon due to the election the next day. Okay, And then council will hold their public hearing, we'll sign resolution to adopt plan, hopefully. And then Emmett County Planning Commission and we upload MDNR. So we're in the home stretch. Park updates, the straw bales are up at Kiwanis for sledding safety, lining the hill. Ford Park and beach restrooms are closed for the season. Marina restrooms will remain open. DPW will relocate painted tables at Marina Park to the Kiwanis building, and then the game box, the new game box at Marina Park is gonna go to the Ford Park building. We'll just leave that other one up at Kiwanis. And then programming updates, I talked about Kiwanis. There's a gentleman in town, he lives in the Weekly area. He's interested, he owns like a music company, like where he deals with people like out of Nashville, like some really big names, some smaller ones. And he tries to bring them up here to Northern Michigan for like tours. So they'll go to like Petoskey, Charlevoix, and he wants to kind of add another one. And he was thinking of the high school stadium for a possibility. So I didn't know if that was something we were interested in at the stadium. He'd probably be willing to come in or be on Zoom to kind of discuss it further. They handle everything, like the tickets, they pay the upfront cost, and then obviously they get all the profit depending on who shows, things like that. But if we do want to do something along that lines to get an artist, we'd have to start working on it pretty quick.
Yeah, I think we discussed trying to have some.
Years
concerts
ago,
at
there
Ottawa
was
Stadium.
one or two there, a long time before they redid the
Yeah.
stadium.
It's a great venue.
Yeah,
Do we
wonderful
charge
music.
for the stadium?
we don't. I mean, the school uses it. And then we can use it when nothing is going on. So obviously it'll have to be a discussion with the school because it is still a grass field and I don't know when they plan on putting in that turf. And we wouldn't want to damage anything with the field, which I've spoken to him about and he's well aware. And there's plenty of space for like a small concert. You might not even need to use the grass area. But we would have to discuss it with the school as well.
Do you think it should be a fundraiser kind of thing though, where,
The first one-
we charge for other things,
Yeah,
other parks, right?
It'd be something that would have to be discussed for city events, but it could be like the first year since they're willing to come in and risk that profit, you know, they could have, 400 people, they may have 50 people, like that's the risk they're taking, putting on the event. So for a
I'm
first
just even
year,
thinking for DPW costs for cleanup or restoring the grass or whatever.
yeah,
Maybe we need
DPW
to-
doesn't do maintenance on the fields, all the schools, so
So I
then
guess
we would have to
it'd be the
discuss it with
schools
them,
then.
yeah.
It would be in the summer. There's nothing going on there in the summer.
So I'm looking basically for guidance to reach out to the school and see how they would feel about it and their maintenance needs with the field. And then maybe have the gentleman come in and speak to us or come over Zoom and kind of explain the process further.
Yeah, I think if we could do something at Ottawa Stadium, it would be great.
Yeah, I think it'd be a cool
It's a
concept.
beautiful venue.
I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah.
Well, this concrete stage at the bottom of the hill is big enough to accommodate, the marching band and a few other things, so.
Or depending on who it is, it could be further back on the other side of the field and people on blankets on the field. coming
And it can be something where he
I know.
comes in and discusses it with us and we decide not for next year, but the following year, but at least then we have all the information to us, so. I think it's cool that we have a citizen who's interested in that and specializes in that.
Well, it's a good possibility. The fire department looked at doing it 10, 15 years ago. We looked at doing something there. It just costed, the cost risk was too much to take.
But it is a beautiful stadium and technically the city does own it, but like I said, we just wanna respect the school and students that use it.
I think it's a good option to explore anyway.
Okay, perfect. I will reach out to the school then. And that is all I have for my director's report. Any other?
Excellent. I think that's it. Does anybody else have anything else?
And feel free to contact me if you do have any questions leading up to the planning commission meeting. They're all, obviously it's public.
Yeah, if everybody can come in, it'd probably be good.
Anything else?
Okay. Let's adjourn at 7:01.
So you haven't seen